It's me again, and I'm here with the sunset, live along Edgewater Drive in Clearwater, Florida. Actually Dunedin as well, kind of on the cusp, where the two meet, and I get to take a nice walk with Buddy. Oh, it feels so good. The air, I'm sure you can hear the breeze, right? So it really is nice, and the breeze is really pleasant. So I actually sat here for the past couple minutes just soaking up the sun and the rays, smelling the salt air. The tide's starting to come in. It's been low tide. Watching the birds as they fly by. Can you see this one? You should be able to see this one crane that's moving here shortly. Off in the distance, there's even a fisherman over here. You can probably see him. It's really just, to me, every day's a blessing, like I try to express. I'm in Florida, dear. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Greg. How are you all doing tonight? Hi, Rut. Hi, Lane, dear. Yay, I know. Sometimes I'm just very sporadic about my timing. So I can tell you that today is a day where I've just I was really tired this morning and laughing at myself as I was in my love cloud, in the bed, because someone woke up cold and trying to figure out, why is it cold in here? Well, we didn't have the comforter on the bed, and the fan was going, and I was a little chilled myself, but I was a little bit like, ugh, somebody's being whiny. So I got up. Yes, I'm calling it. It was funny, because I got feisty, like in a playful way. So my feisty is fun. I'm typically, I try to turn everything around and make it fun, because life is too short. So even if someone's whiny around me, I'll try to bring him around and make it fun and playful. So I went and I got the blanket. I got the down comforter, because I love feeling like that down comforter all around me, feeling like I'm embraced. I was saying yesterday about how much I can get so comfortable in my cloud that I don't want to get out of bed in the morning. And so I brought the blanket in and I put him on top of us, and it was nice and cozy. And then all of a sudden got feisty and playful, and boy, what got into you this morning? And I'm like, I don't know. Somebody was a little whiny about being cold, but then at the same time I was grateful that, hey, I got the comforter, and then it was really cozy, and then it was like I don't want to get out of the bed, and then it's like I'm in the cloud. And yesterday I was talking about how some days we don't want to get out of bed, right? You're like laying there going, oh, but this feels so beautiful. My bed is so beautiful. This comfy, pillowing, supporting, feeling so lovely, right? Hi. And so, yeah, I did get out of bed. But at the same time, it was really nice to have a little comfy, an embrace this morning too. So how is everyone doing today? If you're catching me live for the first time and we haven't interacted, please do me a favor, just tell me where you are. Say hi in the comments. Hi, Tracy. How are you, dear? I didn't give any fair warning, as I sometimes just randomly will go live and just share a little bit of the sunshine, share a little bit of, obviously it's windy, as you can probably hear. I'm trying to hold the mic so it's not too much on the vocals, on the voice. Aw, thank you. The sun is beautiful here. And it's getting close to sunset, so I didn't want to get too late because it's so pleasant. And I'll see if you can see. Well, I'll do that at the end. How about that? So you can kind of get a little glimpse of what's going on behind me. Wild mushroom soup, Lane. Oh my gosh, that sounds so good. I'll be over as soon as I can make my way to Ohio. Oh, I used to like that Drew Carey show. Ohio. I forgot what it was. It was the Drew Carey show. And so, okay, here's where I'm at. Oh, that's so cool. Cape Girardeau. Beautiful, Tracy. Thank you for sharing that. Sweet. So I woke up, and like I said, I got up. I got into my practice. I started the day. I really have to tell you, there was nothing major for today the way I felt when I got up, other than just the appreciation and the gratitude and the recognizing that I have everything I could ever want right now. Okay, yeah, we can always say there's more to want. There's always more that we can desire. But I'm just very grateful for what I have, and that there don't have to be any major downloads when I'm doing my practice, but just the simple awareness and sitting with the beauty of what is, and just appreciating the beautiful person I get to spend every morning with and every day with, and these walks with Buddy, and his appreciation for it, and just going through the motions and just flowing, right? Like, as I say in my morning meditation, may I align with the flow of my soul and allow it to make me whole. Hi Mark, how are you? Buddy is eating grass, and he's coming over to say hi. I mean, you might get tail action over here. You might get nose action. He's my buddy for a reason. You want to come over here and lay down, honey? Oop, oop. I'm sitting on rocks is what I'm sitting on right now. And it's along the waterfront, the shore. It's called Edgewater Drive. And we have palm trees and just the bliss. This, to me, this is pure bliss. Right? How are you spending this evening? Anything exciting going on in your neck of the woods? Sometimes we don't need more than what we already have. But I can admit that over the course of my life, because of the upbringing, the environment I grew up with a lack mentality, never having enough, the fear of not getting what I wanted, or that someone would want or try to take it from me, or want what I had, even when it was very little. I saw that with my parents. I grew up with that to the point where I literally went into the rest of my life going, okay, I have to sit with this. And I don't condemn my parents, because they came from their experiences. And even though my dad, for example, never really had anything to lack or feel lack of, he grew up around people who felt there was a lack because of the timing of his life. You look back at people who lived through a depression, and then, yes, Tracy, abandonment, big theme in my life. And so the lack mentality, looking at what my dad was exposed to, although he was very well taken care of, was an only child, and he didn't need anything. He always had what he needed and wanted. From my observation and from what I learned of the family. But see, again, you don't know someone else's experience. So what he may have felt, there may have been lack, but the lack wouldn't be in the way that I would see lack. See, here's the interesting, here's what I'm going to share and what's coming through from this speaking already. We can look at someone else, right? And we can just assume they have everything, because what we perceive as everything is what we want, wish, and desire. When we look at someone else and we think, oh, they've got everything they want, what's their problem? Or we look at someone who doesn't have what we have or want, and we think they have a problem in the sense of they are lacking. Like, it's a projection. Every way we see another is a projection of where we see ourselves. So seeing somebody else who we assume has everything they could possibly want or desire doesn't mean that they don't feel lack. Doesn't mean that they don't lack. Because lack, it's always going to start in our mind. It's always going to be the, what is it that I'm missing? The fear of missing out, right? FOMO. It could be, again, those languages of love, the ideas that love comes in the form of something material, or love comes in the form of something that's affection or praise, right? Or respect, however that shows up for you. Because ultimately what we all seek and desire in this life is love, connection, communication, community. And so when we feel we're lacking something, it's really a form of a love, if you think about it. So what makes us feel important, right? Hi, Heather. Hi, hon. How are you? Hi, Kelly. And so when I look at my life and I look back and I can say what I was just speaking about my dad, I, from my perception, feel that my dad never lacked anything from a material sense, because I see how we lacked growing up, the things that he always had access to. But see, what I also am able to see is my projection of that and what I just expressed, right? And that the true lack that he may feel, because he in my experience with my dad, for example, I'm using my personal life experience here, what he may feel he lacks is his own self-worth, because what he needed and lacked in his life was more actual personal time with his family or affection. So he always received what he needed in the material sense, but what he really lacked, from my observation, was more of the affection, the more of the one-on-one time with family, and especially maybe my grandparents, because my understanding is a lot of times he spent time with his aunts and uncles, cousins. They all took care of him, because my grandmother and my grandfather would do trips on their own. They actually, it sounded to me like they had a really loving relationship. They spent a lot of quality time with each other, where a lot of families, maybe the parents lose that connection because they spend it more doing things, especially nowadays, two parents having a two income household in order just to get by. Whereas it used to be the father worked and the mother stayed at home, etc., etc. I know my grandmother was a nurse, so it was a two-parent household. And then where my mom, also coming from a family that wasn't bad off at all. Neither of my parents really were bad off. Hi, Cheryl, honey. Hi, Elizabeth. And so when I look at my mom's side, she also, it wasn't the material that was lacking in her life as much as the affection and the attention from her siblings, because my mother was the middle of 9 children. And so the way that they came together is interesting to look at. So I know that my mother was lacking emotional support and the proper connection. So when we were growing up, my mom was always very much trying, she still had a distance to her, to give us the attention, the affection, the love, the praise, the respect, and all of that as much as possible. But she also tried to ensure that we had the material items that we needed. But we didn't always have that, because when my parents split up, there was a little disconnect, and there was this, this constant, rubbing, butting heads. And so when my mom would say she needed something, my dad would be resistant to giving material. He felt that the way that if he gave her money, he felt it should be spent a certain way. And so because of that, my dad would see it as, well, she got the money she needed, why isn't she spending it more, in his mind, responsibly? But see, he didn't see the emotional connection that he held on to with the money aspect, that he would withhold it. For example, my sophomore year in high school, I remember I wanted this dress, and my mom made sure that I was able to get it. And my grandmother didn't want to give me the money because she felt it was too expensive. So I saw that patterning in my dad. My dad would hold back from giving too much money because he felt like, well, it wouldn't be responsibly spent. And then there was also the other part where I've learned over the years that he feels a connection to his value and his self-worth through money and how he shows up. And so that if you withhold, then people have to come and ask you for it. And that kind of is like a forced way of feeling valuable. And it's not really powerful. The more you give, the more you receive. And whether it's money or attention, affection, it's always something. It's always something that is going to come back to you. Whatever it is you're willing to give out, it's going to come back to you. I personally, whenever I've had money, even when I didn't have money, I've wanted to give and do for others. Always. Even when I was little, I'd give stuff away all the time. although I will be honest, there are certain times when I say no, I don't want to give away something because maybe I do have an attachment to it. Maybe I have a little bit of a need to be able to say no once in a while. Like my mind has to be reminded that you don't have to say yes all the time. You don't have to give yourself away all the time. You don't have to give your stuff or everything that you own away. And I've done that. So I have a lot of things in boxes because I lived out of boxes and suitcases for several years as a result of moving around between Italy and here and Germany and just traveling and living with my dad and buying my house. And it's been a kind of like, okay, now I have a small space. So now I need to go through boxes. But how I prioritize my time is important too. So something I will be doing, and I've talked about this in the past as well, I do want to do more lives where I show you, and I'm not afraid or ashamed of what I got going on because I'm trying to be as organized as possible. I have these boxes, but see, I also have to find an energetic exchange because I, for example, was working in higher paying jobs, so I had a lot of designer clothes that I would like to sell because they are valuable and because they are classic pieces, and I was raised to buy good quality clothes and maintain my stuff. And because I value and appreciate the things I worked hard for, and even the stuff I've received as gifts in my life, because that's how I have always seen things in my life. When someone gives me something, I not only appreciate it, but I show appreciation through the way I maintain it and show the value in what I value, right? So, and I may be doing eBay. There's also local offer-up programs and stuff. It's a lot of time and energy just taking pictures and making the post and writing it up properly so that it gets the right eye, it gets the right attention, right? Thank you, Lane. And I have sold some things also. Yes. And you know, Tracy, abuse can be physical, mental, emotional. It doesn't even matter whether it's words or physical. I've had a little bit of everything in my life, so I feel you. I feel you, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that. So going back to this value and what I've learned over this time and what I share with you often is the value has to start within. Nobody can tell you what your value is. Nobody can make you feel little or small unless you yourself feel that already. And so that's where, if we want to receive love from others, we have to start with loving ourselves. And that's the work. That's the real hard work. The next part of that, from what I've been doing in my life, I went in deep. I'm an all or nothing girl. I'm an all or nothing goddess, woman, lady. I personally just completely shut myself off from dating for many, many years. Was celibate for over 3 years before I entered back into a physical relationship, and then went back to celibacy for another year or so. And I'll tell you what, when you go in and you do the inner work, it's a lot of like confrontation. It's a lot of sitting with what is. I was journaling for a long time, but the real work, y'all, it's called relationship. And no matter where you are in your life, you can say you know yourself, but you really don't know yourself until you're engaging and interacting in a relationship. And I'm not just talking about intimate relationships. I'm talking about the ones with your family, your friends, the people that show up in your life randomly just to poke and to prod, right? That in itself, the rub that you get, is going to show you exactly where you're at and who you are. So what you value, it shows up too. You know, like I like to create a certain space because I value and I appreciate, and because I worked hard for what I have, I want to maintain as much control over, you know, like the beauty, the elegance. Like if someone comes into my house, yes, peeling away the layers. When someone comes into my house, I like to present that, look, I appreciate my space and I want you to feel comfortable in it or not overwhelmed. And that's a little hard when you've got a lot of stuff. So that's something I'm working on. But going back to when you encounter other people, like I was just saying, and what it is you value and what it is you feel you have or that someone else does have that you want or doesn't have that you feel pity for, I want you all to consider when you see, for example, do you remember Sally Struthers, There Are Starving Children in Africa? We all felt sad for the starving people, but we really don't know that they were so sad. We just project our sadness upon them because we know how we would feel if we were starving and didn't have food, right? We really don't know everybody's personal life path. I know that when I lived in Italy, I used to be around a lot of the, oh, look at that poor person, because the media in Italy is just as bad as it is here in the States. Or even elsewhere, because where your attention goes, energy is going to flow. And if you're somebody who's in the newspaper, in the know of the media, then you're just being saturated with stuff to keep you distracted and to feel bad. Most of it is it's going to bring you down versus raise you up and uplift you. So I know that I use this example when I was living in Italy and going back and forth. And I just learned that I was allergic to gluten. It became a big deal across the country in Italy because people really didn't speak about it as much, yet they subsidize the Italian people who have allergies to gluten and other things. They actually give them a monthly stipend. It's a moped. So on the news that summer, it was 2010, there was a little boy who died. And it was a result of eating this ice cream cake that they didn't tell them that, and it was his birthday. I mean, this is really sad stuff. I mean, you don't want to see this. And a father on the news talking about his last moments with his son. I mean, this is like pull at your heartstrings type media news coverage. This is what they do. They try to bring you in, suck you into something that, yes, it is sad. I'm not saying you should be insensitive, but don't allow it to penetrate your being and get so involved that you literally become the empath and absorb it and become it and feel it like it's your experience. That it takes you out of your personal joy. And so when we see things like that, yes, the awareness is key. The prayers, send the blessings, send the prayers, but not allow it to take you out of your own living, your own life. So when I've seen things in other people, I have to humble myself enough to be out of my mind and out of that space of, oh, you poor thing, let me comfort you, because you know what, it's not my place. And I really don't know that person's circumstances. I really don't know what they've been through and what it is that brought them to where they're at in their life. Children is a completely different story, but like, for example, I remember being out at the bars, okay, because that's what we used to do when I lived out in Naples, Italy. I was with my Italian boyfriend at the time, and he used to be very much into the news. He always knew what was going on, the newspaper, watched the news at night. Fortunately, I could tune it out, even if I understood the Italian. But I still was, unfortunately, hearing it, bombarded by it all the time because I was with him. We're out one night, and there was a man, he had one of those vocal boxes. And I don't know, he had some sort of larynx dis-ease, whether it was cancer of the esophagus, the throat, I don't know. It could have been because of his alcohol related. See, I really don't know what his full story was, and I don't remember it if I did. But I remember him saying, oh, that poor person, and him buying drinks for him or whatever. And we also saw a lot of what they called gypsies, Romani, in Naples, where people come around, they beg for money, they sell things for money. And this was something sad to see because it was cultural, right? And it was also because people from other countries coming into Italy, and they do it all over the world. I mean, this is nothing foreign. And establishment owners having to come out and tell them to stay away, to leave, to shoo them off. And it is so easy to get caught up in always giving money, and you really don't know where that's going, and being guilted into the situation of they use their children to collect money or to even pickpocket, and they do it on a regular basis, and even at the corners in the streets. And I remember Claudio saying, oh, this poor person, and I'm just like, you know what? I had a moment where I had to go, but you don't even know what his story is. You really don't know what he did that is part of his life path. It doesn't mean that he deserved it. That's not at all what I'm talking about. Nobody ever deserves anything in the sense that it should be, oh, well, he did something bad, that energetic karma. That's not the point. The point is to also recognize that when you see someone who is not in the same situation that you feel yourself, and this is ego, by the way, you don't even realize it's ego. I feel sorry and I feel pity for that person because I'm in the know and I'm in a better place. That's totally ego, people. And that's humbling. I mean, I can turn around and go, oh, that poor person, they're out of shape, they're unhealthy, I want to help them. That's all my ego wanting to control the situation to make me feel more comfortable about myself. Me to recognize, wow, I at least learned my lesson. I want to project and help that person get through their lesson. But in reality, nobody can do that for anybody else. And again, the subtlest form of control is thinking you know better for someone else. So that's what that all is. It's a projection of where you're at, saying, I believe I know what's better for you. I feel sad for you that you don't have what I have. Or I'm jealous or envious of someone else who has what I have, but that doesn't mean they're happier. Maybe you're happier than they are, but then there's that animosity you got going on too. That's huge. So do question every time that you're encountering somebody and you're either projecting what you wish you had versus what they have, or if it's even in that space of you having pity and claiming that they're, less off than you are, when in reality they may be better off than you. That's all ego. That's all up in here. The true heart connection is when you can go, you know what, I honor where you're at. I don't need to fix you. And I don't need to have what you have because my life is completely different than yours. And I'm humble enough to own that, you know what, if there's something that I like about you and that I admire in you that I wish I had, then it clearly is a mirror because we recognize in another, that other is us. I am that too. Recognize the other as you. That's one of the Aquarian sutras that Yogi Bhajan brought to this world, this country. It's huge. It's simple and it's humbling to really step back, get out of your stuff, get out of your head, get out of yourself, your ego self, your small self, and notice how you're projecting your stuff on other people. Don't shame or guilt yourself either. Don't say, oh, I feel bad that I felt that way. Or just recognize, because it's going to tell you so much more about where you're at in your life and who you are. You can do all that work in the background and work on yourself, but it's applying it in your interactions and your engagements with other people that's going to be the key. And that's it's huge integration. It's huge recognizing that everybody has these gifts that they came here to share. That whatever someone has been through, whether it be poverty, whether it be, having or bad situations, and you know what? Everybody's got a different definition for that. When it shows up in your life, it's meant to bring you higher in your life, and how you show up in that experience is going to dictate how sharing the gift of that experience is huge. I apologize. Somebody's trying to messenger me, and I don't know why it comes through when I have it turned off. So the gifts that we come to this world with are typically the challenges we've been through, right? Physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse. I've been through it also. And you know what? I can also relate and know that it's not an easy thing to deal with, but it doesn't have to destroy you if you can really harness in your mind that it's part of your gift to share with the world, that I can show up and be strong in my personal power and not allow that to take me out of the being that I am, and I'm still valuable, and it doesn't devalue me to have had what happened to me happen. If anything, it should remind me that I am special. And sadly, the special might have been recognized by somebody who took advantage of you. And that's not a bad thing. You just got to go, oh, they just didn't treat me the way that I did deserve, but I am special, and we all are special. We're all beautiful people. Hi, Sarkar. How are you? And so yeah, it's recognizing that we're not projecting our stuff on other people. We all have beautiful gifts to share. We all have our own experiences, and nobody is any better or any worse than us, nor are they of us. So next time you encounter somebody and you start to feel pity or sorrow or even animosity and jealousy, step back and ask yourself, what is it in your life that you're pushing onto them, right? Oh, I love it. Oh, the crows are crowing, caw, caw, overhead. They are going in the direction of the sunset. So did you want to see what I get to see? See, this time I'm going to remember my sunglasses, right? Yes, and even if we've been through the same situations, we don't necessarily know how someone else has handled it. And we all internalize differently. We all process differently because we have different experiences leading up to our experiences, and nobody has the same exact experience together. Even when you and I have something happening together in the same moment, and we're together and we witness the same things, there's 3 versions of the truth. My experience of it, your experience of it, and the experience without our filters, right? Oh, thank you, Tracy. I truly appreciate you. Thank you for saying that. You are a blessing as well. So I'm going to pull out this beautiful selfie stick. It's become very handy. Look there is our sunset. There is our sunset. Voila! Isn't it it's just amazing what we can share just in a small moment of clicking a button and technology, right? Oh, hi Kathleen, how are you, honey? I'm wrapping it up. It's getting a little chilly with this breeze, but it's absolutely gorgeous. I love each and every one of you. I hope you're having a rad wet Wednesday. What? Be blessed and recognize that only you know what it is you deserve, and the value has to start on self within. So try to see yourself as the other, but don't project yourself on others. How's that sound? I love you. Have a great evening.